The Feast of Firstfruits, there's some controversy to this. It falls somewhere between the 15th and the 22nd of Aviv. It shall be on the morrow after the Sabbath. There's a lot of confusion on this verse, but it really shouldn't be. It starts to fit into place so clearly. There's three historical views, so just so you know, they were arguing about the same stuff 2,000 years ago that we argue about today. The Pharisees thought it was from the first day of unleavened bread. That's the 15th. So Passover, preparation, the next day, 15th, that's when they thought you counted, that's when they thought first fruits was. The Essenes thought it was from the weekly Sabbath, but the one after the feast. So they counted after the feast was over. So that whatever Sabbath was after. That one's kind of odd to me. The Sadducees, it was from the weekly Sabbath during the feast. The Sadducees had it right. I'm just going to give you a hint on that. It has to be the weekly Sabbath during the feast. Here's why. If you go to Pentecost, you have to count 7 Sabbaths complete till you get to Pentecost. So if you count 7 Sabbaths, you're going to get 49 days. But it also says you must count 50 days. That's what Pentecost means. So the only way to get 7 Sabbaths and then the next day be 50 is if you start on a weekly Sabbath. That's the only way it works. And you're supposed to count from the Feast of Firstfruits. Does that make sense? That is the only way to work. But that doesn't clarify which Sabbath. Are the Essenes right, where it's the one afterwards? Or are the Sadducees right? Well, the New Testament tells you clearly. The Messiah is the example. He's our firstfruits. Which one did he rise on?
The weekly.
Did God do the feast wrong? No, so it's right in the middle of the week. Somewhere between the first and the 7th day is the Feast of Firstfruits. There's no way God did it wrong. So all we got to do now that we're looking at the whole Scripture and look at the New Testament, see how God did it. His Passover was perfect. There's no way he got it wrong. So Firstfruits is the weekly Sabbath the day afterwards. There's no other way it can work. So if you look at it, this is how it plays out. The Passover is Wednesday. The high Sabbath is Thursday and Wednesday. 3 days and 3 nights is the weekly Sabbath. The next day is Firstfruits, but that started on Saturday night, remember. So, see the confusion? Firstfruits started on Saturday night, what we call Saturday night. There's no way around this. I've never been able to rationalize any other way, but putting all of them together, it fits very nicely. Number 2, you shall offer a wave offering. Wave is the Hebrew word nuf, which means to quiver, that is, vibrate up and down or rock to and fro. It's done to recognize God's provision. They're going to recognize God provided all this harvest for us. The sheaf is an omer. It's a heap, a sheaf as a dry measure. It's approximately 3.64 liters. And it went to the priest for payment. They shall offer a lamb, a male lamb, as a burnt offering. Shall offer a meat offering of flour mixed with oil. And they shall offer a wine offering as well. Shall not eat bread, parched corn, or green ears until the offering. I like this one a lot because we must wait for the priests to receive their part until we receive our part. If you think about how fair that is, they didn't have any land to do any of this. They were required to work in the temple, so they didn't get anything until the offering was made. So we can't eat of that offering until we first give the priest their portion. That's all that's going on here, is giving the priest their portion and recognizing God for his provision. Then again, you shall blow the trumpet over all offerings. That's the Feast of Firstfruits. So those are this is the first of 3 feasts. Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, and Firstfruits. So it looks like more than one feast, but it's really only one feast. The Bible mentions that there's 3 feasts we go to. There's 3 parts to that first one. Okay? Remember, the day started evening. I know I'm hammering this, but we need to get this in our heads because it's very deceptive to us. The lamb is set aside on the 10th. The preparation and the Last Supper and the crucifixion were on Wednesday, but that was really Tuesday night. Actually, the crucifixion was Wednesday day. The Passover and unleavened bread was Thursday, but that was Wednesday night where we ate the Passover. See how confusing this can be? And then we had 7 days of unleavened bread. Took you to the 21st. The Feast of Firstfruits is down there on the 18th. All right, we've gone through this several times now. Does that make sense, how that shift in days throws us off? This is our first paid vacation of the year. It is paid for by our second tithe. So if you trace holy day, it's from holiday in Old English, which was vacation days. God gives us 3 vacation days a year. Vacation holidays, it's really more like weeks. Okay, but this is paid for by our second tithe. This was the barley harvest. That was the first one of the year.